All right, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of our webinar. And we apologize, we're a few minutes late, but we are here now. So thank you everyone that has joined already. I can see some people are already here with us. So please just share on the comment section where you're joining us from. Thank you everyone for joining us. Just share where you're joining us on the comment section. Today's session, we're going to be having two speakers, and the topic is on from automation to intelligence, driving real business value with Amazon AgentCore. That's the topic for today. And we're having two speakers. Our first speaker is Janvi. Janvi is our first speaker. Janvi is going to be starting, while our second speaker is Engineer Sheriff. So to start will be our first speaker, Janvi. Janvi lives at the intersection of curiosity and clarity. She's an AWS community builder, published author, and former AWS cloud captain. She's drawn to questions that sit beneath the surface of technology, such as how we learn it, right? How we trust it, and how we use it with intention. Janvi is known for turning complex cloud concepts into stories people can feel, not just follow. Her work blends technical depth with human insight, guided by a simple belief that the future of technology only matters when it remembers the people it's built for. So getting straight into it, I'll bring Javi up now, and Javi will take the floor for the first session. Hi, Javi.
Hello. Thank you for introducing me so warmly. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all the lovely people joining us from any part of the world. Everyone, I truly think it's an honor representing in front of you guys. And thank you for such a warm introduction. It truly melted my heart. Is my presentation visible to anybody? And am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, here it is. Okay, before we start, I have to ask you guys a question. Okay, everyone, let's be honest over here. Most of us didn't start using AI because we wanted innovation. I truly believe we started AI because we were lazy, busy, and honestly just tired of writing the same email for the 47th time. And I think someone just said, try this Gen AI thing, and we said, fine. And now suddenly it writes emails, summarizes codes, reports, and somehow sounds more professional than us, even in our best days. Don't tell me that I'm the only one who feels like that. I would like to see, some emoji popping up in the comment section that everyone agrees to this at least. Until I see a comment, like a emoji popping up in the comment section, I'm not gonna go further. Yes, true. I can see it. So today's topic is actually very simple. Gen AI is changing the way the businesses work. And so does AI works as a teammate, not AI as a replacement, not AI as a manager, but AI as your over enthusiastic intern who works 24/7, never asks for coffee break, and reads documentation very voluntary. So that's what my today's topic would be: AI as a teammate and how Gen AI is changing the way businesses work. But before moving forward, I'd like to introduce myself a bit. Hello, everyone. Even though I've gotten a very warm welcome, I'd like to introduce myself again. I'm Janvi Bhagchandani, a cloud enthusiast at heart and an AWS community builder by a tag. Over my journey with AWS, I've collected quite a few labels: instructor, community lead, organizer, speaker. Basically, enough tags to look like a confide resource in the console. But among this, it's the humanity changing side of technology, the part where systems don't just scale an infrastructure but scale human capability, is what I love the most. So that being said, and Gen AI, specifically agenting and workflow driven AI, is changing that shift. Not just smarter tools but smarter teammates. So today, let's just talk about how businesses are moving from using AI to actually working with AI. Generative AI represents a shift from the deterministic software systems to a probabilistic reasoning system. I hope you all agree, right? Earlier, businesses software executed very predefined logic. What I mean by that is it put it in matched expected structure, the output worked, if not, then it failed. Now, generative AI system instead works on the language and the semantic patterns. They can interpret intent, yeah, generate responses, and summarize information and reasons across large context windows. And that is so mind blowing. From a business architecture perspective, this allows AI to move from a narrow automation task into a knowledge work. Things like analysis, drafting, explanation, and decision support. So if I see this for a small and a medium business, this is very important because it reduces dependency on large teams for a cognitive workload task. That being said, why Gen AI is different this time? Honestly, the technical difference lies in the model architecture and training scale. Traditional automation systems relied so heavily on rules, engines, or narrow machine learning models and trained only for one task, like classification or prediction. Now, foundational models are transform based architectures. They train on so many multi domain data sets, they learn language structure, semantic relationships, and reasoning patterns. Because of this, it allows them to work with unstructured data, even such as like PDFs, emails, contracts, logs, without even schema processing. If I have to say in technical terms, instead of machine fields, they operated embedded spaces, mapping meaning into vectors, generating outputs based on probabilistic token prediction conditioned on context. That is how it is different because it is not just automation 2.0. Now, generative AI system creates business value only when deployed as a layered architecture, honestly. At the foundational level, they are all more foundational models which provide reasoning and generational capabilities. Above that, I would say is the agent layer, which introduces planning, tool usage, and multi step execution. Then comes the enterprise data layer, which includes the business databases, documented stories, APIs, and operational systems. And finally, would be the governance that would include the access control, guardrails, logging, and compliances. On AWS, Amazon Bedrock doesn't just provide this foundational model layers. Bedrock agent provides this orchestration. Knowledge base provides retrieval grounding, and IM plus guardrails provides governance control. This is what actually makes Gen AI work in businesses rather than. Now, coming to the foundational models, these are the brain, I'll say. For example, they are very large scale neural networks trained using very self supervised learning across massive text and multimodal corpora. They have a very general purpose and support zero shot and zero shot few adaptations, I'll say. Meeting them can be meaning they can perform very few tasks without restraining. Through Amazon Bedrock, organization can access multiple foundational models through a unified API, including Amazon Titan, Nova, Anthropic Cloud, and Metalama. Honestly, technically, model selection becomes an optimization decision, balancing latency, reasoning depth, context length, and cost per token. Production sims also cost often uses different models for different workloads. For example, a smaller model for classification and a larger model for reasoning tasks. That is why Bedrock matters for the small business models. Why is it that? Because small Amazon Bedrock abstracts away model hosting and infrastructure complexity. For example, instead of provisioning GPU clusters, deploying containers, and managing skill policies, developers can have a very managed inference API. Bedrock also provides, model choice flexibility, allowing switching between model providers without writing application architecture. Security wise, Bedrock ensures customer prompts and outputs are not used to train base models and supports VPC connectivity and IAM controls. For small business, this removes the machine learning infrastructure overhead and reduces time to production significantly. But before we zoom in into the agents, I want to step back and show you guys this bigger picture of Amazon Bedrock as a platform. Because I feel many of us feel that Bedrock is just a model access, but it is actually more than that. Starting from the left, this block is models and infrastructure. This is where Bedrock gives you the access to multiple foundational models through a unified API without managing GPUs, clusters, or training pipelines. For small and medium businesses, this removes the biggest barrier for them, that is the infrastructure complexity. Next is the customization. This layer allows you to adapt models to your domain using fine tuning, knowledge bases, and model distillation. So instead of building AI from scratch, you specialize existing intelligence. And that is a very massive, massive point for small businesses and medium businesses teams. Next come the guardrails and policy checks. And this is extremely important in real business settings. Why I say that is because, yeah, this provides more responsible AI control. For example, data protection, governance, and hallucination mitigation. So, what I mean by that is that the Gen AI outputs can be constrained, they can be filtered, they can be aligned also with business policy, which is very critical in finance, healthcare, and education use cases, I'll say. And finally, on the right, we have the agentic AI with AgentCore. Now, this is where the whole shift happens actually, from the model intelligence to the operational intelligence. Model generates, but agents execute. So, Agent Core is the layer that turns Agent AI, Gen AI into a workflow capable system. So, if I have to say, you think of it in a way that Bedrock is the intelligence platform, and Agent Core would be the, in short, the execution engine. Now, let's make a very important architectural distinction here. Foundational models by themselves are stateless and reactive. They generate text, they can summarize data, they can answer questions based on the prompt. That is very powerful and very business processes, code, and all, especially for small and medium businesses. But that just not answers the question actually, because they are very stateful and procedural. They involve validation step, they will also involve some decision branching, API calls, record updates, approvals, and multi-level workflows. This is why I say that they cannot be used alone to create a business value. And that is how models can generate and respond. But businesses need AI to take actions, for example, call APIs, remember context across steps, and also follow workflows. For example, for a small business, support scenario is not just answer a customer query. It is more into, check order status, validate customer in identity, update ticket status, trigger a, refund workflow and a log interaction. And that requires orchestration. Technically, this means like model interference must be embedded inside workflow and orchestrational layer through agent workflow, or they can be managed for sure. Like we have platforms like Amazon Bedrock agents and Agent Core, and these systems would let the model decide which tool to call, which API to invoke, and what next step to execute. But without orchestration, I feel Gen AI behaves like a smart assistant. And without orchestration, also with orchestration, it I think it becomes more like an operator and participates directly in the business processes. And that's the shift that we are looking for. That is the shift that makes it from an assistant to an operator. And this is where actually small and medium businesses productivity and automation gain happens. Now, coming to that, since we talk so much about the guardrails, Amazon Bedrock. So, we also mentioned in the code, like we talked about agentic AI through AgentCore. But what does agentic AI actually mean? To answer this very shortly, it is just a proactive autonomous system that would go very beyond reacting to prompts. They perceive environments just like us, reason through problems, plan multi step actions, and execute them using tools while staying within the defined guardrails. It is like very unlike traditional AI chatbots. Why it happens is because these agents, act so much like your digital teammates. They'll decide your next step. They'll independently also achieve, your business goals. And that is when the transition from responsiveness, that is your basic reactions, to responsibility, ownership of the outcome comes. Why I'm saying that is because it highlights a very, it's four very core capabilities. First one would be, deciding what to do next. What I mean by that is it decides autonomously. By that I mean it scans data, it reasons like a human planner. If I have to say it in the business context, for your small and medium businesses, it would be like for your e-shop, it spots how many low stock, or chooses pre-order or a promo, or no hand holding needed. To it basically, for a business, it actually saves you hours daily. Second would be the tools, because it grabs tools like AWS API, database, and even external services. For example, if I have to say, using a Bedrock agent to call Lambda for a real time inventory check for a business, what happens is, how a small business wins because of this is that it automate what you outsource at fraction of cost. Third would be that it works across steps. Multi-step magic, like plans, executes, iterates. It's basically like your program manager. For example, let's just say there is a customer complaint. What will it do is it will analyze the history, update the CRM, email resolutions, and that will relate, because scaling small marketing campaigns without hiring developers would be a very huge thing for a small business. Fourth point is that, fourth core of it is that it operates within its guardrails. By what I mean by that is, safety is the foremost. It prevents it has a human set rules already instructed in them. What will it do? It is that it will prevent errors, it will ensure compliance. And built in with Bedrock, it will cost officially, cost limits, approvals, and ethics. And that will be very small business, mid to medium business friendly, because it will start secure and have no AI risk. So that is how it transitions from responses to responsibility in that sense. Coming to Amazon Bedrock Agent Core. Amazon Bedrock Agent Core is AWS managed, agent platform that helps businesses build and run AI agents that don't just generate responses, but actually take actions. By what I mean in that sense is that in a small or medium businesses context, this means you can create an AI agent that can connect to your API, databases, and tools. But remember, before doing that, you should also have context through built-in memory, operate securely with identity and policy controls. Do not skip that option, I'll say. And run on serverless runtime without managing, infrastructure. Instead of you building complex orchestrational logic yourself, Agent Core provides that gateway. It provides you that memory. It provides you that runtime, and it also provides you, I'll say, observability. Even you can have that evaluation layer out of the box. So as a small to medium business team, you can actually move from AI experiments to production ready workflow driven agents much faster. Now let's go a bit more deeper. This diagram here would show you how agent core, different from building a chatbot wrapper around a model. So AWS is treating agents like full software system. Yeah. system like life cycle governance, runtime, and monitoring. Let me walk you all through this logically. Okay, so at the top you can see the agents and the tools, right? I would like, a few, what do you say, comments, or popping out, hearts or something that will encourage me more. Okay, so I hope you guys are tapping it on. Yeah. So at the top, you see agents and tools. Agent core is a model agonistic and frameistic agonistic. What I mean by that is that you're not locked into one model provider or one agent framework, which is strategically important as models evolve rapidly. Second, you can see is the gateway layer. Now, this is how agents connect you from the outside world. APIs, AWS Lambda, MCP targets, and enterprise tools. Without this layer, agents can only talk. With this layer, agents can actually act. This is why this is so important. MCP target, this is, next would be the gateway layer. Sorry, next we have the memory. Yeah. This gives agent both short-term conversational memory and long-term excited insights. So what I mean by that is that the agent improves interaction instead of starting from zero each time. This is essential, for small businesses, for customer support and advisory workflows. Beside that, you can see is policy. Now, policy enforces what the agent is allowed to do in real time. When interacting with tools, this prevents unsafe or unauthorized action. It basically guardrails for execution, not just responses. Then comes identity. Identity integrates, AWS IAM and third party identity providers. Meaning of this would be that the agents operate with a proper access control system, and this is how you make agents enterprise safe. Below that, you can also see browser and code interpreter. Now, this expands agent capability beyond text. Agents can browse information securely, execute code in sandbox environment. That enables research analysis and computational workflow. Now, if you look down, you can see the runtime layer. This is serverless. It secures infrastructure for running agents and tools. For small businesses, this is very huge because you don't have to manage servers or scaling. AWS handles it. Finally, on the end, you have observability and evaluation. Now, this is what makes agents, production grade. Why? Because you can monitor sessions, you can monitor traces, latency, errors. You can also evaluate. What I love about this is that you can also evaluate performance using built-in or customer evaluation. So you're not guessing agent quality, you're actually measuring it. So this entire stack actually shows that agent core is not just a feature, it is an operating layer for AI agents. Coming to the use cases of it, AWS has done so good in so many infrastructures. Right now, we'll be only talking about two use cases, but if you would like to see the official AWS documentation, or some of the research papers or blogs that I used for this use cases, you guys can always reach out to me. I'll for sure share them. So, first is finance data assistant. In this use case, this is an actual use case that I'm deriving from AWS that they have published. What happened in this use case was that AWS demonstrated how generative AI can be used significantly to improve enterprise data discovery and analyst productivity by combining Amazon Bedrock with Amazon Kendra using RAG architecture. The problem faced by the finance analyst was that they had very critical data set, documentation, and metadata, and they were spread across multiple systems. So what would happen that the discovery of this data would become very slow. They had very insufficient using traditional keywords. So AWS actually solved this by first using Amazon Kendra to perform semantic search across indexed enterprise context. Then it retrieved the most contextually relevant documents and data references. That retrieved context is then passed into Bedrock Foundation model cloud to generate grounded, very, natural language answers for the summaries of the queries. This actually reduced hallucination and improved factual accuracy by more than 50%. Can you feel that more than 50% is how much money that company must have saved? And the importance of this architecture is that, was that it combined it trusted enterprise search and very generative reasoning. So it enabled, very faster insight generation, more reliable answers. It also had major time savings. It all, because of this, it proved that Gen AI can actually be truly valuable in business when paired with secure data retrieval and grounding mechanisms. The next use case is also published by Amazon. This is where I have taken the reference from. If you would love to read more about it, just reach out to me. I will share you the use case. But in this use case repository, what happened was AWS applied generative AI in real business scenario by, how, by providing ready to deploy agent based solution templates built on Amazon Bedrock. So this use case it shows how foundational models can be combined with orchestrational logic, enterprise data source, and APIs to create domain specific AI agents that can perform multi-step tasks rather than generate text. For example, in healthcare, Gen AI agents automatically generated discharge instructions from clinical inputs. In manufacturing, they analyzed, equipment logs and telemetry support. In travel, they actually build personalized trip plans for user preference and external data source. So technically, these all solution uses Bedrock foundation models for reasoning and generation. And then it can be integrated with other AWS services like Lambda, API, data context. These all can actually help make decisions more faster, trigger action. And this is very, very important because it shows that Gen AI moving from simple chatbots to a very workflow aware intelligent agent can be very embedded very directly actually into industry operations with scalable and secure AWS infrastructure. Now, since we talked about so much about how great it is, one of the more important question is when we talk about agent core from a cost and scalability perspective, it is how it is it what do you say design. If I have to say for small and medium businesses, it actually removes, according to me, the biggest barrier, that is the infrastructure overhead. Why? Because first, inference is pay as you use, which means that you only pay when your agent actually runs a task or generates output instead of maintaining an ideal GPU server. Second, there is no need to manage or provision training infrastructure. An agent core work will be very pre-built foundation model through Amazon Bedrock. So small to medium businesses can actually build very intelligent agents without investigating in, model training clusters or anything. Third, I feel it supports the elastic scaling by default. If your usage spikes during a campaign, support rush, or seasonal demand, the runtime automatically scales without manual intervention. Another key optimization layer is model selection based on the cost and performance. You can for sure dynamically choose lighter, cheaper models for routine tasks and switch to more capable models only for complex reasoning workflows. Technically, this is supported through managed runtime serverless execution, but built in observability and policy controls, it will actually help more in that considering because when they all are working together, they reduce the operational cost. They also reduce, engineering effort. And that can for sure make a production grade AI agent feasible, even for very smaller teams with limited budgets and DevOps capacity. I know I ran a bit faster, but I had only 30 minutes. So, if anything, one thing you want to take away from today, I'll say is that Gen AI is no longer just prompting a model or getting your text back. Technically speaking, modern Gen AI systems are built by combining foundational models for sure. Modern Gen AI systems and are also built by combining foundational controls. From what I mean by that is, governance and orchestrational controls actually. The real architectural shift is actually from an isolated AI call to integrated AI workflow. And the good news for small to medium sized businesses is that you don't actually need any giant AI lab or GPU warehouse or anything like that. You can actually manage them with platforms like Amazon Bedrock, AgentCore. remove the infrastructure burden, while still it gives you very enterprise grade capability. The competitive advantage today is not who owns the biggest model, it is actually who designs the smartest architecture. So, that being said, thank you everyone for being such an engaged audience. You have officially upgraded, I'll say, from a Gen AI curious to a Gen AI architect mindset. If you have any more questions or want to discuss a use case, or actually want any of the link of what I have mentioned over here from AWS documentation perspective or use cases, or you just want to continue, a cloud AI nerd conversation, feel free to connect with me on my LinkedIn. Here's the link. I promise I reply faster from some models, but sometimes even I am slow. So that being said, thank you so much. Is there any questions? Okay, I can see one question. Is it fine if I answer that?
Okay. All right. So go ahead and answer it then.
Okay. How do we define clear boundaries for what an agent, AI agent, is allowed to decide versus escalate? Uh, that is actually a very good question, because it actually defines boundaries using a mix of risk levels, guardrails, and control points. See, first I'll say let the agent auto decide low risk task. For example, ticket tagging or report generation, and then escalate high impact ones like payments, deletion, or policy changes. Also enforce least privilege IAM policy, IAM roles actually. So the tool access can be very physical and cannot just perform sensitive actions. Also, I'll say there should be a human in loop checkpoints. What I mean by that is the functions should approved, and workflows should be approved by a human first. And using that also, use Bedrock guardrails. Always use content filters and structured output validations. That is how you can actually make a very clear boundary. And also, one of the main important thing is always have your cloud rail and cloud watch on for traceability. So these actions can be very impactful for defining a very clear boundary. I hope that answers your question.
All right. Thank you very much, Janvi. But because of time, we'll keep the other question till the end so that we'll take all the other questions together.
Sure. Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much. That was really very insightful. And thank you everyone for sticking around till now. So now we're going to go straight to the second speaker for the day, the person of Mr. Sheriff. So Mr. Sheriff is going to be taking us on the second part of this webinar for today. So let me bring Mr. Sheriff on now. So Mr. Sheriff, you can share your slides so we can present it for everyone to see here. So while it does that, Mr. Sheriff is a solutions architect at Fairwind Systems, an AWS partner. He helps startups and growing businesses design and scale cloud-native and AI-driven solutions. On AWS, he has hands-on experience with serverless architectures, event-driven systems, and autonomous agent workflows using services like Amazon AgentCore. Sheriff works closely with teams across Africa to turn automation into practical intelligence that delivers real business value with a strong focus on scalability, cost efficiency, and real-world new use cases. So the topic still on is from automation to intelligence, driving real business value with Amazon Agent Core. So I'll bring on Mr. Sheriff now, and then his slide as well. Over to you, Mr. Sheriff.
Hi everyone, thank you, Prince. Hi everyone, from Janvi. Can you hear me? Please confirm if you can hear me, please.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, nice. Thank you very much. Hi everyone. My name is Sheriff Dean. Today, I will show you how Amazon Bedrock Agent Core turns automation into operational intelligence. how it help you move faster to market and reduce cost control. Throughout the session, we'll walk through capabilities, real customer wins, cost, and how you can pilot this into your business. So throughout my session, I'll be talking much more in a business value terms, more than not more than technical. So before we dive in, let me quickly go through the agenda. First, we'll talk about why many initiatives struggle once they leave the demo stage, even when the technology looks impressive. Then we'll look at the shift from simple automation to intelligence, and why that shift matters for growing business. I will explain what AgentCore enables for businesses without going deep into technical terms. And after that, we'll talk about how AgentCore helps have CRMs, ERPs, marketing platforms, support systems, spreadsheets, dashboards, a lot of tools out there. So businesses are not short of tools. But here is the problem. With all these tools they have at their disposal, work is still moving slowly. Approvals are getting delayed, context is lost between teams, and every exception ends up back with humans. As your business grows, decision increases faster than headcount, and that's where things breaks. Even not because people are lazy, but because people don't scale linearly. Customer issues comes in with missing informations. A campaign needs to adapt based on performance. A document doesn't match expected patterns, and at that point, automation stops, and human will need to step in. That means automation saves times at the edge, but decisions remain centralized on people. I mean, when things breaks and the automation cannot handle it, it still falls back to human to step in to continue the workflow. But then that doesn't really save our time. And that's why many businesses feel like they've automated a lot and but they haven't actually reduced workload or stress. And this is where the idea of agents changes the conversation. An AI agent is not just executing steps. An AI agent is given a goal, access to the tools you have at your disposal, and clear boundaries. It can observe what's happening, decide what to do next, and take action or escalate to human when needed. Think of it less like a script and more like a junior team member who never forgets context, never gets tired, and follows policy strictly. This doesn't replace people. AI doesn't replace people. It removes the repetitive decision load to people. It removes the repetitive decisions load so people focus on judgment and strategy. So how do you build agents like this without creating risk or chaos? And that is where Amazon Bedrock Agent Score comes in. Amazon Agent Score is AWS way of answering a hard question. How do we let AI agents act inside business safely? AgentCore handles the part that usually make teams nervous: memory, permissions, monitoring, and control. You don't just get an AI that talks, you get an AI that can work within defined rules, access the right systems, and leave an audit trail behind. That's the difference between a demo and production. Now let's talk about what this actually changes for business. When agent code is applied correctly, three things usually happen. First, work move faster. And this is not because people rush, but because fewer steps require human intervention. Second, outcomes become more consistent. The agent doesn't forget steps or context. And third, teams get teams get to have breathing rooms, not by working harder, but by offloading repetitive decisions. This is where value starts to show up in metrics, not opinions. So let me ground this with a real customer examples. One of AWS customer, Epsilon, applied agent score to marketing campaign workflows. Before this, campaign setup campaign setup involved multiple tools, automation, and manual work. Agent score came in and automated campaign execution.
All right, sorry for that interruption. I think Mr. Sheriff has a little network issue there. Hi, Jambi, are you still here? Okay, Sheriff is back.
What was the last slide you hear me from?
Yeah, you can continue from
From here?
just like some few barely a minute, but just like 30 seconds.
So on this slide, yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I was saying, we want to measure how what actually changes for business. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you clearly.
All right, cool. So when agent score is applied correctly, three things usually happen. First, work move faster, not because people rush, but because fewer steps require human intervention. Second, outcome become more consistent. Agents doesn't forget steps or context. And third, teams have to get to have breathing rooms, not by working harder, but by offloading repetitive decisions to AI agents. This is where value starts to show up in metrics, not opinions. So let me grab this with real customer examples. Epsilon
Apologies for that one more time. I think
every week.
the thread.
Sorry?
Can you hear me? I think your internet was out for like some seconds.
Oh, am I audible
We
now?
can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Oh, I'm very sorry about that. So, um, so I was talking about how Epsilon drive, how they were able to boost their their campaign time by 30% after they applied Amazon Bedrock AgentCore to the workflow. So next is Ericsson. Ericsson reports double-digit efficiency gains by using agentic system across complex engineering teams, showing that agents can handle large-scale data fusion and decision coordination. These are capabilities you can also use in your businesses or in your business. We have Cox automation from retail industry. Team at Cox are deploying 17 agentic solutions across retail stores, automating processes and improving customer experience.
So we have you back on stage. You can mute and go on. Aisha, you are still muted. Sharifdin, in case you are speaking, your mic is still muted. All right. So we had one question that had not been answered. Javi, can you hear me? So while Sharifdin tries to come back, so might as well just take that question.
Sure, sure. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, but I think Sharifdin is back. So let's, Sharifdin, can you hear me? I'm adding you back to the stage. So Jambi, let's have him finish, then we'll just take the questions together.
Sure, sure.
Sharifdin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please present
All
the
right.
question.
Yes, so your slide is back on. You can continue. You can still hear me, right? Although you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Sharifdin, please confirm you can hear me because I can't hear you. Jambi, please confirm if you can hear him because I can't hear Sharifdin. All right, Jambi, I'll add you to the stage now. Let's take that question.
Yeah,
So
sure.
someone asked a question. Creative Space asked a question. Can you see the question on the screen? So let's
Yes,
take
I
that
can.
question. All right, please,
Yeah.
can you handle it?
So the question is, what are the some early warning signs that a company is not ready yet for agentic AI? That's a really great question. And why I'm saying it's a really great question is because this can actually be fixable. It's not just a dead end. So for me, if I have to see it in a technical wise, a company who may not be ready for an agentic AI is if, let's just say, they have no clean or very centralized data layer. What I mean by that is that they do not have any S3 data lake catalog or quality checks. Second thing main would be if they don't have a core system without API or automation hooks. So like no API gateways or Lambda tools. Third, I could say is that if they have a very weak observability, like no cloud watch metrics, log tracing, or anything like that, there is no event driven workflows, like there are so many missing steps like that. So, or let's just say the model evaluation or prompt testing is in practice. So that would, what would this all things do is that the expectation of a full autonomy will not be able to phase out or roll out correctly. So that is why I feel if these are the problems that a company is facing, and agentic AI works only best if they have top of very strong cloud foundations. But yeah, if you unlock this and build on this first, then you can also unlock very serious momentum. So that would be the answer from my side. I hope that is fulfilled. Creative space.
All right, thank you very much. So creative space, if that answers your question, please you can also indicate on the comment section. And any other person that has questions, please you can also type in your questions at the comment section. So we'll just take everything together when Sheriff Dean rounds off with his own session. Thank you very much, Janvi. Sheriff Dean, can you hear me now?
Thank you.
Mr. Sheriff, please confirm you can hear me. Okay, I think Mr. Sheriff is still having some network issues here. Sheriff, if you can hear me, you can unmute and say something. So maybe you can just round off your session so we can take other questions if there are any other.
All right, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can. So please just round off in the next few minutes so we can take questions.
All right. So we'll be talking about cost. For SMBs, cost predictability matters more than sophistication. And AgentCore is modular. You don't pay for everything up front. You start with one workflow, one agent, and one goal. You can decide where expensive reasoning is used and where simpler decision logic is enough. And this keeps AI from becoming a runaway cost center. With all this I've been saying, cost control is useless without safety. Agent call guards agents. It does not let agents do whatever they want. Every action is permissioned. Every tool call is logged. Every workflow can require human approval, and that's how you introduce intelligence without losing control, especially in regulated or sensitive environments. Security is not an option. It's built into every agent actions. And for the last slide, we are going to discuss how you can actually get started. So the biggest mistake I see business make with AI is trying to do everything at once. When they hear about agents, automation, intelligence, and the instinct is to redesign the entire operation. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
All right, nice. Thank you. So when they hear about agents, automation, and intelligence, the instinct is to design the entire operation. That almost always leads to confusion, cost overruns, and projects that never leave experimentation. The smarter approach is much more simpler. Start with one workflow, just one that is already causing pain already, that's causing pain today. A process that wastes time, frustrates customers, or forces your team to make the same decision repeatedly. Once you've chosen that workflow, the next step is to be very clear about what success actually means, not in abstract terms, but in business terms. Is success saving time every week? It is it reducing errors or rework? Is it unlocking revenue by responding faster or serving more customers? These metrics matters because they keep the projects grounded in reality. From there, you run a pilot, not a full rollout. A controlled test with clear boundaries, clear permission, and clear expectations. You measure what's changed, what improved, and what did not, and what still needs human in the loop. After you see real results, after you see real results, then you want to expand. Not based on optimism and not based on hype, but based on the evidence you see, the results. And that is how business adopts AI with confidence instead of hope. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one simple idea. AI does not create value by being impressive. It creates value by removing friction, sorry. The businesses that succeed with AI are not the ones chasing the most advanced models. They are the ones using intelligence to take pressure off their team, speed up decisions, and stay in control as they grow. Amazon AgentCore is not about replacing people. It's about scaling decision making in a way that is safe, measurable, and aligned with real business goals. You don't need to start big. You don't need to overhaul everything. Start with one painful workflow, define what success looks like, and prove the value. So when agents earns its place in your operation, expansion becomes a confident choice, not a risky bet. All right, thank you for your time, and I look forward to the conversation and questions that follows.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheriff. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the presentation. And thank you very much for giving us deep insight, especially as it relates to business cases. That was really a very good one. So if we still have questions in the from the audience, please do well to share your questions in the comment section, and then we're going to present it to the speakers, and your questions will be treated one after the other. So please let your questions start coming in. You can have questions. If you have questions, type it in the comment section, and then we'll take it one after the other. So while we're expecting questions, I want to really thank everyone again. We have one question now. We're going to display on the screen now, from the speakers to the attenders, from YouTube, from LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us. So we have a question now, and I'd like Mr. Sharif to take this question. So I'm presenting the question now, and the question says, how do you measure productivity gains from Gen AI beyond time saving? I'm sure, did you get that, Mr. Sheriff? If you're still on the call, okay, you're still here. So the question that someone is asking, if you're still here, you can still hear me. So Raj is asking, and Raj says, how do you measure productivity gains from Gen AI beyond time savings? So, Mr. Sheriff, if you are here, you can take the question. How do you measure productivity gains from Gen AI beyond time savings? Okay, I can't hear Sheriff. Janvi, can you take the question?
Yeah, sure. Okay, Rajiv, to answer your question, if I have to say this in a AWS practitioner point of view, I will say that generative AI productivity isn't just about saving hours. I think it is more about improving outcomes, quality, and team leverage. How would I measure it is basically how impact whether output quality has improved, like for example fewer detects, stronger documentation, cleaner code, whether teams are delivering it with a more sprint with the same resources, and whether the rework and the re-escalation rates are dropping. Another strong signal for me is the decision velocity, actually, where teams can make faster, better informed choices because GenAI surface is context and options quickly. I will also look at the skill amplification. Let's just say if a junior team member can also handle more complex tasks with AI assistance, then that's a real productivity gain, honestly. On the business side matrix, I'll say like customer satisfaction, resolution quality, experiment velocity, and even feature of the delivery rate matter more than the raw usage stats. So in basically in AWS driven setups, I think these signals are typically tied to workflow metrics, error rates, and outcome dashboards. Because at the end of the day, truly, if I say Gen AI productivity only shows up in better result, but not just faster trying. So I hope that answers your question.
All right, thank you very much. Raj, I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much for staying till the end. Although we are a few minutes over time, we'll still appreciate everyone that's still to the end. Thank you also very much to our speakers of today. Thank you, Janvi. Thank you, Sharif. And we
Thank you
hope
for
to have
hosting us
this
so warmly.
over and over again. Don't also forget that this webinar continues tomorrow. So today is not the end of the webinar. It continues tomorrow till Friday. So ensure that you join in, and then you get every knowledge and every information from this webinar all through this series. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Do have a wonderful day. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye, Janvi. Thank you.